This is an elimination at this year's WWE Elimination Chamber match. This is an elimination at a previous Elimination Chamber match, which is just like a lot of other eliminations in the Elimination Chamber match. Truth is, I've never been all that enamored with this bout. And aside from this just being a poor man's attempt at war games and an excuse to sell toys to kids, one of the reasons why I never particularly cared for this match is because it's very formulaic most of the time. And it almost seems that the time where it isn't are the times when the fans hate it the most. So what is this formula? Well, let's go ahead and break that down. We've all seen it over and over again. The elimination match starts, it goes on for a bit, and then all of a sudden somebody will start going on a quick and immediate tear, laying out big move after big move, and then all of a sudden someone comes from out of nowhere and eliminates them. And then this will happen again and again and again. It's at the point where whenever this starts happening, you can almost smell it a mile away. And what makes matters worse is most of the time in the Elimination Chamber, about half of the people in it aren't contenders that you take seriously, making it super obvious anytime one of these lesser participants starts doing really well that their exit is right around the corner. Now, I get that this strategy is used to try and beef up a talent so they look good in defeat. However, unfortunately, I don't think that this really accomplishes anything. It doesn't make anyone look strong on the way out, and it really doesn't help to save face. And sometimes this is made even worse when eliminations all tend to happen within the same time increments of each other, which doesn't happen too much, but when it does, it makes the whole thing feel so much more rehearsed. Which of course it is, this is pro wrestling, I'm just saying it shouldn't come across that way. Now, another downside is that sometimes this pattern actually happens outside of the Elimination Chamber, as we see wrestlers get their big shine during a Royal Rumble only to then get eliminated, or more commonly, we sometimes see this in the Survivor Series. But the difference here is that there are plenty of other variations on how people get eliminated in the Survivor Series or the Rumble. In the Rumble, some people go on massive elimination runs, and to do that, they need people who are just cannon fodder. And as a result, this creates at least 2 roles by default. Not to mention the other positions like the Iron Man, which I've already talked about in a previous video. However, I will say that this stale formula that's overused in the Elimination Chamber does seem to happen more often at Survivor Series. At least at bad ones, where a good Survivor Series match uses its eliminations as part of a story, and is strategically laid out to tell the most compelling tale. Furthermore, the other benefit that the Survivor Series has is that since it's a team-on-team dynamic, which side gets who eliminated and when also adds a different value. Which side's going to be outnumbered and by how much? And what does that say about the match going forward? Although, while we're talking about the Royal Rumble and the Survivor Series, there is something else that also happens in the Elimination Chamber that happens at these events that I find to be a little tiresome. And it's that whenever there's an odd number in the ring, you can almost always guarantee that the heels will have the advantage, as the 2-on-1 is usually milked to get some drama. But again, like everything else, I've just seen it way too many times. Now, don't get me wrong, the Elimination Chamber doesn't always adhere to this strict rule. I'm not saying it happens every single time, but I am saying that because of the setup of the match, there's not a lot of wiggle room to tell other kinds of stories, where at least the Rumble and Survivor Series can at least offer some different dynamics to really shake things up a bit, where a simple 1-on-1-on-1-on-1-on-1-on-1 contest really is kinda linear. Furthermore, let's look at some other times where they didn't adhere to this strict formula, like when Shayna Baszler wiped out everybody else in the match. While it was different, fans found it incredibly boring. And so, what was supposed to make her look like a monster just made her look like Sonic the Hedgehog once he's getting bored. Although this exact play has happened before in the Royal Rumble, but yet back then people didn't really complain about it. Or how about when Triple H was ducking Goldberg and he used heel tactics to secure the win? If you remember, that didn't go over very well at all. And the other issue we face with the Elimination Chamber is that there are certain spots that we're just expecting to get. We expect somebody to break through the pod, and we also expect somebody to jump off of the pod. And not to mention getting slammed on the outside. And sure, this gets a pop and it can be fun, but quite frankly, after almost 35 Elimination Chamber matches, I for one kinda don't care anymore. As yet again, the brutality of it is never really sold as part of a tale that they're trying to tell. And yes, I do realize that if you stop to break down any match, things are going to start looking old pretty quickly. But I don't know what it is, there's just something about the Elimination Chamber match that feels very stale and feels just so limited. The point is, it's really hard telling a story in the Elimination Chamber, but that doesn't mean that it can't be done. It's just going to require a little more creative writing than what normally happens. Don't get me wrong, I think the Elimination Chamber has a lot of potential, and I don't hate this match. I just want to see some variations. Why do we have to wait till all the participants are in the ring before somebody gets eliminated? And once someone does get eliminated and they're on their way out of the ring, how come the referees don't realize that someone's gonna run in at that exact moment like they do almost every time? And I know WWE does occasionally do the kind of things that I'm suggesting, and I'm not saying that they stick to this exact formula in every single match. I just want a little more variety, because after all, doesn't the Elimination Chamber deserve it? Because I say it definitely does.